right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Hazardous highways.
The highway is just dangerous for police officers.
Tonight, the call to keep our officers safe after a tragic death on I-70.
It's unacceptable, and it could have been prevented.
Hurricane Helene continues to strengthen, headed for Florida's Big Bend area with devastating storm surge and wind later Thursday. The impacts it brings to parts of Missouri and Illinois by Friday.
And a fireworks fight extinguished by rain.
We just won't be able to provide a good experience.
When business will be booming again. First tonight, a man is dead. St. Louis police say officers shot and killed him after a series of violent acts. Good evening. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. Investigators say the man stabbed his dog and himself, and it all happened this afternoon at an office building on Oakland Avenue across I-64 from Forest Park. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski is live from police headquarters with new information tonight. Laura.
Mike and Kelly, we do actually have some good news. The Humane Society says the dog is doing very well and was patched up quickly, but overall this was very distressing and it's been a very tough week for St. Louis police. St. Louis police were called out to an Oakland Avenue office building on Wednesday just after 2:30 because an unauthorized man was wandering around the financial group's office.
Caller stated he appeared to be having a mental health crisis and he was walking around the office with his young puppy and sitting in different people's chairs and desks and offices.
When officers approached him on the 3rd floor, he pulled out a knife and stabbed his dog.
The officers, seeing this violent action, deployed a taser in an attempt to stop him from stabbing the dog any further. The taser seemed to be ineffective.
Police say then, in a hallway on the 2nd floor, he sat down and started stabbing himself in the neck and refused to drop the knife.
He went from a seated position to a standing position. Officer felt he was in danger of his life and discharged his firearm after seeing the numerous violent actions that this person had already taken.
It's unclear how many shots were fired, but the 37-year-old man was rushed to the hospital where he died. His 1-year-old black pit mix was rushed to the Humane Society, where a spokesperson says, quote, "The team noticed only one stab wound and the puppy is happy and open to snuggling. They will take care of him and place him for adoption when he's ready."
The officer that actually came here has some counseling experience. They tried to talk to the individual, but once you start taking violent actions towards animals and yourself, we tried to de-escalate, but it didn't work, unfortunately.
For St. Louis police, this scary situation comes just days after one of their own was killed in the line of duty.
They are grieving, but they are professional, and they will continue to do what they have to do to protect the citizens of this city.
Investigators believe the man was staying at the hotel next door and didn't have any connection to this office building. No officers were injured. Reporting live downtown, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
Right now, Hurricane Helene is strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico. It caused heavy winds and rain in the Mexican resort city of Cancun today. Helene is expected to rapidly intensify before making landfall in Florida's panhandle tomorrow night.
Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is tracking the tropics and the impact this storm will have right here in the bi-state. Scott?
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, we got the update from the Hurricane Center. Still holding the intensity at 105-mile-per-hour top wind gusts and 85-mile-per-hour sustained winds. The movement's about north at 9 miles per hour. We haven't seen that big strengthening, that rapid intensification just yet, but it is coming as this moves over the very warm waters here of the Gulf of Mexico. Comes ashore in Florida, and by Friday morning, it's all the way up to Atlanta, still as a tropical storm. This is going to have a really devastating effect on the southeast, and it spreads the rain back towards St. Louis. So we will be on the fringes of the heavier rain as we head into Friday. That puts us definitely with weather impacts. So Friday into Saturday, that potential for tropical rain, it's higher as you go south and east of St. Louis. The heaviest rain will be there where as much as 3 inches may fall. Most of us in the metro area won't see that much, but the main impacts will happen during the day on Friday into Friday evening. Be flexible with your plans if you can, as we may have to make some adjustments, but by Saturday and Sunday, the rain chances drop off. We'll talk more about that and rainfall amounts in a few minutes, Mike.
This week's heavy rains have already put a big damper on this weekend's long-awaited fireworks fight in Warren County. Sky Wars is the largest fireworks competition in the country.
And with more rain on the way, as Scott mentioned, organizers have canceled this year's pyro musical competition. New tonight, Robert Townsend reports from Innsbruck.
Every year, thousands of ecstatic people near and far trek to small-town Innsbruck in Warren County for the spectacular Sky Wars, the United States Fireworks Championship.
These shows are timed down to the 100th of a second to the beats of the music.
It's a chance for some of the nation's best pyrotechnic artists to compete, show off their signature fireballs, and light up the sky.
A pyro musical, if it's done well, it'll raise the hair on your arms and it'll bring grown people to tears. It's amazing.
But this year, not one powerful pyrotechnic will pop off. Instead of non-stop booms, bangs, and ahs, you might say Rob Cena and his Sky Wars crew expect a potential war in the sky. Sounds of thunder and rumbling rain are expected to hit on Saturday.
Even if we only get another quarter inch or a half inch, there's nowhere for that water to go.
As a result, their 3-hour sold-out show is a no-go. It's the first time in 19 years they've had to cancel the popular pyro musical competition.
Everybody's disappointed. I feel the worst for these crews that have been working on their shows for almost a year now, many of whom had already reached the site.
About 11,000 pyrotechnic lovers were expected to pack this massive field for the big show. You bet the fireworks fans also wish the awesome event would have taken off.
It's just like almost the 4th of July.
Patty Gallatin's son flocks to the fireworks fun.
You see families laughing and people gathering. It's just fun.
Fans can hold on to their tickets because the nation's biggest pyro musical showdown will be back next year.
Bigger and better.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
And next year's Sky Wars is set for September 27th. We have more information in the As Seen on TV section on KSDK.com.
Tonight, the St. Louis City Sheriff's Office is mourning a deputy who died in the line of duty. Sheriff Vernon Betts says Deputy Dennis Boyd died of a sudden medical issue while on the job. Funeral arrangements are pending. Sheriff Betts says the office is working to offer support to the family, adding, quote, Deputy Boyd was a true public servant, embodying the spirit of duty and sacrifice. His loss is a tremendous tragedy, not only for his family, but for the entire St. Louis community. We extend our deepest condolences to his loved ones during this incredibly difficult time.
A touching tribute today for fallen St. Louis police officer David Lee. A police procession escorted Lee's body from the medical examiner's office to the funeral home. The line of police cars drove past SLMPD headquarters at 18th and Olive. Officer Lee was hit and killed by a car Sunday while responding to a crash on Interstate 70. And a funeral for Officer Lee will take place Saturday, October 5th at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church. That's on Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. Visitation will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the service starting immediately afterwards. And tonight, 5 on Your Side is asking questions following growing concerns of officer safety on busy highways.
Yeah, this after Officer Lee's wife told us she wishes city police had more help when they have to respond to crashes. Our Brent Solomon spoke with a local police union, which echoes the sentiments of the officer's widow. Brent.
Mike, tonight I've learned one of the state agencies that works with local police when there are highway crashes, well, they're not available to help every day. MoDOT's emergency response crews work Monday through Friday. Tonight, some are saying that's not enough.
I feel like someone such as MoDOT or another cruiser or patrol car should have several feet between stopping for an accident. Therefore, the young man possibly could have been slowed down early on before he got to my husband.
Early Sunday morning, a suspected drunk driver struck and killed Officer David Lee here on Interstate 70 while he was responding to a different crash.
They don't have ample backup a lot of times. And I've seen that, you know, having been the one to work those crashes.
Former St. Louis police officer Christian Johnson recalls when a driver slammed into his police car while he was responding to a crash also on I-70.
Close calls happen like this all the time.
He praises the Missouri Department of Transportation for having emergency response crews that help police on busy highways.
Making sure that the lane is closed behind the police officers, so it frees up, the police officers to be able to work the crash. Also gives a buffer space.
The only problem, he says, they only work weekdays, not on Saturday or Sunday.
Even on the weekends, cars are just flying, and we have police lights, but police lights don't help much.
So what about more help from state troopers? Mayor Tashara Jones' office says it has consistently advocated for a permanent presence from troopers in the city. But she says there aren't enough state patrol officers to do it. I reached out to Missouri State Highway Patrol. Whether a trooper would respond to an incident on a major highway or interstate within another locality would depend on their availability and location when they learned of it. If they were nearby, they would respond. If out of the area or committed to another incident, the requesting agency would likely have to ask for a trooper to respond, said Captain Scott White.
We need all hands on deck. We need the Missouri Department of Transportation to be able to help. Highway Patrol able to help. There needs to be at least a minimum 3 to 4 officers to help slow traffic down before even getting to the actual accident.
Thoughts and prayers, they're great, but we need action. We need to do something.
The mayor's office says because there aren't enough troopers, they're doing what they can, like engaging in periodic joint missions with city, county, and state police along I-70. And while MoDOT doesn't have emergency crews on the roads on weekends, it does have a transportation management center monitoring road conditions 24/7.
Tonight, the largest teachers union in the city is reacting to the firing of the St. Louis Public Schools superintendent. The board voted out Dr. Keisha Scarlett last night. She was put on leave back in July during an investigation into the district's budget, which went from a $17 million surplus to a $35 million deficit. The spokesperson for the union says the board did the right thing.
We're glad the elected school board has been proactive. It seems mistakes were made, but they followed up on it and done their jobs correctly.
Millicent Borshed will remain as interim superintendent. Dr. Scarlett is contesting the decision. The district says she'll remain on paid administrative leave until a final decision is made.
Safe and secure? Questions surrounding new police cars patrolling the streets of St. Louis. Tonight, we verify whether they're on the right side of the law. Hurricane Helene intensifies, and so do storm preps.
These effects are coming to the state of Florida.
Floridians brace for the worst before Helene hits land.
Right now, hurricane warnings in effect for the Big Bend area of Florida. East of Mexico Beach and around to north of Tampa is where the worst of this will come ashore tomorrow, and it spreads into South Georgia. Hurricane warnings. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for Atlanta up to Asheville, North Carolina. The impacts this system's going to have on us in just a few minutes.
Drive around St. Louis long enough and you may see a car with red and blue lights marked with the words police and city's finest.
A 5 on Your Side viewer contacted our Verify team after noticing that they look different from SLMPD cruisers. And Allred verifies who owns these cars, who's inside.
5 on Your Side viewer and Bridgeton resident Gary Labouré asked the Verify team.
I've seen black cruisers marked city's finest in police. Is it true that these are actually SLMPD cruisers?
Gary, let's verify. Our sources, SLMPD spokesperson Mitch McCoy and Rob Betts, owner of City's Finest. Betts, a former SLMPD homicide detective, started a security company called City's Finest in 2007. He hires off-duty police officers to work a secondary job.
Really the goal of us was to provide additional supplemental law enforcement services.
So who is hiring City's Finest officers? Business districts or neighborhoods will choose to pay an additional tax to hire private security to patrol. Washington University, The Grove, Central West End, Soulard, and downtown St. Louis are customers. And more communities have hired City's Finest in the last 6 months, including St. Louis Hills, Tower Grove South, and some Metrolink platforms. And yes, some of City's Finest cars have the word police written on them.
So if a City's Finest police car says police on it, there is a police officer in that car that's working second duty or moonlighting for you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
SLMPD spokesperson Mitch McCoy confirmed the word police on the side of a cruiser is perfectly legal and allowed as long as a police officer is inside. McCoy also said officers have the same authority and arrest powers when working for a secondary employer. Bet says he hires law enforcement officers from departments across the metro. Their main goal is to deter crime with patrols and reduce the number of calls by handling smaller crimes like disturbing the peace and loitering. We can verify no, the cruisers marked City's Finest are not SLMPD cruisers. The cars belong to a private security firm that hires police officers as a secondary employer. I'm Ann Allred, 5 on your side.
What would you like us to verify? Send us an email to verify@ksdk.com.
Hurricane Helene is set to make landfall in the Florida Panhandle within the next 24 hours. It's expected to strengthen into a Category 4 storm. Governor Ron DeSantis is warning people to make their final preparations. Floridians are boarding up their windows and making sandbags. Forecasters say the hurricane could bring up to 5 and even 15 feet of rain in some areas.
I expect to see a surge. This thing's going to be whipping through. It's going to cause a lot of churn, and it is going to drive that water. And so it is going to be a significant water event. So be prepared for that.
Forecasters say Helene could stay at hurricane strength as it moves far inland into Georgia.
Tonight, members of the search and rescue group Missouri Task Force 1 are on their way to help with Helene's aftermath. 35 team members are headed to Atlanta with more than 100,000 pounds of equipment. They're expected to arrive there tomorrow morning.
Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell again with the weather impact forecast. And you are forecasting that we will get some of that aftermath as well.
Yeah, we'll get some of the rain from this. We are not going to get, the strong winds like they'll see into Georgia, but Atlanta's likely to see some hurricane force gusts in their vicinity before this is all said and done. Storms getting stronger through the overnight hours. Still winds at 85 miles per hour, 425 miles southwest of Tampa. What does it mean for us? Well, all day on Friday, we are going to be a bit on the damp side with waves of tropical rain and winds that may gust 30 to 35 miles per hour. So you'll need some extra time for that commute and maybe some flexibility in your schedule. I know there's a lot of events happening this weekend, especially outside. You have, Sting and Billy Joel over at Busch Stadium. You have Saturday and Sunday, the big music festival over in Forest Park, Oktoberfest, Worldwide Technology Raceway. I mean, there's a lot going on this weekend. At least we're not facing this, right? That's Category 4 when it comes ashore across portions of the Big Bend area of Florida, making its way still as a strong tropical storm by Friday morning into Atlanta. This thing slings back towards St. Louis because of the upper level winds. And here's what it's going to look like, we think, kind of a radar estimate with our futurecast, bringing this right across Georgia. And again, the strong winds will spread across the entire state of Georgia into South Carolina, into the mountains of North Carolina. Places you normally don't think about tropical storm and hurricane conditions will be seeing that. The power outages will be extensive. So we're not part of that, but we will be part of this rain shield. Exactly how far north and west of St. Louis the heavier rain gets, that remains to be seen. In fact, there's still signals that that 2 to 3 inch area of rain is going to be south and east of St. Louis, and going from the metro area back to the north and west, much lower amounts ending up in the rain gauge. But again, a little bit of a shift here or there can nudge that line and that heavier rain back into St. Louis. So we still have some challenges weather-wise, but nothing like the folks in Georgia and Florida and South Carolina are facing. 67 degrees right now in St. Louis. The wind is calm. We were up to 79 today. Started out in the 50s this morning. Tomorrow morning we start in the 50s. Back to 73 degrees by 11 o'clock, 78 at 3 o'clock. That'll be pretty close to our high temperature tomorrow. In the upper 70s. Dry during the day. Definitely weather impacts Friday, perhaps into Saturday, though the rain chances Saturday into Sunday will be dropping off as the whole system overall begins to weaken. And as it weakens, it's also going to slowly be shifting farther east away from St. Louis. know a lot of St. Louisans tend to go down to Destin and Fort Walton Beach, Panama City Beach. Those areas may get some gusty winds and some rain, but the worst of this will be farther to the east of those areas for sure.
Well, we hope everybody is okay. Yes. It's going to be rough. Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Mike, we have Caitlin Clark. We have the Cardinals in Colorado, the Billikens gearing up, and the greatest NIL story to this date in college football.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
Here is the good news about the Cardinals, and I'm not sure how many times that sentence has been uttered lately. If they defeat the Rockies tonight, they assure themselves of not having a losing season. How about that, huh? Eric Fetty's been pretty good lately. Tonight, very good against the Rockies. He went 7 innings, allowed 1 run, and he struck out 10. The Italian stallion, Thomas Saggese, got things going in the second with a double to right. Ivan Herrera shows some good hustle, will score. The Cardinals led it 1-0. Ryan Helsley came on for save number 48. Get this, he threw 1 pitch and got 2 outs, and he ties Trevor Rosenthal's single-season record. Wow, 48. He's laughing about it. Cardinals win it 5-2. Well, it's a good thing that a victory in preseason NHL hockey and $1 will buy you a Nestle's Crunch, because after tonight in Columbus, the Blues are still winless in the preseason. Joel Hofer was in goal. He actually played okay. However, the Blue Jackets scored 3, the Blues scored 0. They are 0-3. Chicago is next on Saturday. Billiken basketball is not good for my workload, because when I go to Josh Schertz's practice, I just want to watch and learn. I was almost late for the 5 o'clock news today. The Billikens open their season in 5 weeks. And I think this 3-point shooting athlete will be their starting power forward. Kalu Anya. He's a 6'8" junior transfer from Brown, who last season averaged 10 and 7. He now has to get used to playing games during the week. Ivy League teams were not allowed to play because of academics and missed class time. On the court, well, he likes to rebound.
He's by far our best rebounder. Plays with great in the offensive glass, defensive glass. Got great speed with the ball. He's terrific in what we would call the lead position.
I think rebounding is a vital part of the game. So many games are won and lost off of rebounding. I know I have this God-given ability to rebound. I'm blessed with this great body and frame, so I just go out every day and know I could be the best rebounder, so I do it every day.
5 on Your Side will be bringing you a big one Saturday night. Number 19 Illinois at number 9 Penn State. The Illini are coming off a thrilling win on the road over Nebraska. And Brett Bielema knows one of the toughest road environments awaits him in Happy Valley.
It's kind of like a spaceship out in the middle of nowhere, and there's dress. I don't know if they're going to be in blue and white or whatever they're going to be in this weekend. They're going to be dressed right, and it's probably going to be one or the other. They're calling for a white out energy, whatever the hell that means. But I would just tell you that, like, the part that really I think stands out is their fans are intelligent. They've got tradition, very similar to Nebraska. They've been doing this for a long time.
Caitlin Clark had it going tonight against Connecticut in the WNBA playoffs. A little step back, 16-footer there. Later, this is a 26-footer, and the Fever took the lead. She had 25 points and 9 assists. Connecticut, though, would not be denied. They sweep the Fever, win the game 87-81. So people that absolutely despise name, image, and likeness, that concept where players are being paid, are going to hit the roof when they hear this story. A star quarterback has left the team because he didn't get paid in the Escalade. Take a look at UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka. He's having a really good year for the undefeated UNLV Rebels. He left Barry Odom's team. Why? Well, he said a coach told him if he came to Vegas, he would get $100,000 to play quarterback. He has not been paid. Their NIL group says they did not agree to pay that to Sluka. Just imagine what could happen in the future with some of these deals. What if Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, who plays Alabama in the game of the year on Saturday, says on Friday, you know what, Georgia? I need you to do this. I need you to double my pay. And if you don't give it to me before kickoff, I'm not playing. Get ready for a crazy ride. This is just the start of it. And that's Frankly Speaking for tonight.
Coming up, a high-rise rescue, the hero who was in the right place at the right time. A window washer in Kansas City was left hanging 23 stories in the air. The man's harness broke while on the job, and a glass worker just happened to be there for another job and was able to remove a window, allowing firefighters to pull him to safety. He was not hurt.
Yikes. Scott has a final check of that weather impact forecast.
One of those jobs you don't really want to have, do you?
No.
No.
All right. Weather-wise, here's what we're looking at. Friday is our damp day in St. Louis, and especially for areas south and east. Breezy conditions, too. That'll be the remnants of Helene. And then, as we head through the weekend, the rain chances decrease. So there is dry time for this weekend, but Friday we may have to make some adjustments.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Have a great evening.